What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Lambo Plays Podcast, episode 44, UFC 284. And this week, Tim is off. He had some dinner to do. He had some other plans. So Tim, my co-host, is not going to be here. But I do have a very special guest here, a good friend, a great capper, you name it. I mean, this guy has it all. Very good guy in general. So I'm very happy to have him on the show here, replacing Tim. So without further ado, I do want to introduce my buddy here, great capper, Lucrative. James, what is up, my friend? How you doing? Are you ready for UFC 284?
Hello, brother. Thanks for having me on. I can't wait for UFC 284, man. You could call it my backyard. You know, I'm living in New Zealand these days, have a lot of ties to Australia as well. It's not far away. I was going to go to the card, but a few things came up, so I'm going to be watching it from my house. But I can't wait. My favorite fighter of all time, Alexander Volkanovski's fighting on the card. And I've got the most units I've ever risked on an event in this card. Actually, I think it's my third most units I've ever risked on an event. So I've never risked more than 33 units on an event. I haven't done it more than 3 times. This is going to be the 4th time. So I'm kind of scared for that reason, but I'm also super excited for that reason. So hopefully it works out well.
Awesome, my man. I'm sure you're going to do well. It's a great card. Like, I don't want to say it's a great pay-per-view card, but at the very top of this card, Makhachev, Volkanovski kind of makes this whole card like better. I'm looking forward to, Randy Brown, Jack Della. There's some good fights here. Not the best UFC pay-per-view card, but again, the main event is unbelievable here. But before we start,
I think lots of finishes. So maybe not the highest level of talent, but it's going to be real exciting. Lots of entertainment value and a lot of finishes, which makes the card good. Sometimes you get the highest level fighters and the fight's boring as fuck. So I think it's going to be exciting at the very least.
Yeah, which is funny. I said the same thing about last week. When you look at the card last week, up and down, it was a terrible looking card, right? A lot of no-namers.
Yeah.
But when I went over the fights, I said there's going to be a lot of violence on this card because just how the matchups were set up, right? I saw a lot of violence and it turned to fruition, and I had a good event there, especially live betting. I mean, live betting was a unbelievable cash cow. But let me go over to chat. Shout out my chat as usual. Mushroom, what is up, my friend? He says, what's up, Narco and James? More sleep until violence. Let's fucking go. And per usual, my buddy Daz. What is up, Daz? Some nice sounding round 3 bets. That's what Daz is looking for. Mike Z, What is up, my man? Philip, what's up? Rob Lawrence, he says, what's up to Mushroom and Daz, the Lambo crew chat. Yes, they are. Daniel Lynn, what's up, man? Let's go, brother. George, Narrative Nation in the house, and the MMA betting prodigy. What's up, man? Yes, great guest, great friend. And let's kick it off here. James, are you ready?
Ready to go, mate. Let's go.
First fight of the night. It is in actually, it's in the lightweight division. Tapology has it wrong. Initially, they had it at lightweight, then they changed it to featherweight, and then when I watch weigh-ins, it's actually lightweight. But it is the 25-1 Zubaira Tukhugov versus the 13-3 UFC newcomer Elvis Brenner. What do you have here for your Lambo play, Lucrative?
Yeah, so it's funny. Zubaira moving up from 145 to 155, and then he still misses weight at 155. So I don't know if you saw the weigh-ins, but he missed weight by 2.5 pounds, came in at 157.5, I think. Pretty embarrassing, to be honest. But I still think he's going to get the job done. Elvis Brenner looks like a bad fighter. Not sure why they're making this fight, but it is what it is. This isn't a massive Lambo, but I think Tukhugov going to spark him, and I think he's going to do it early. Elvis Brenner's got no striking defense. All he wants to do is get the fight to the ground, but he's not very good at doing that. I think he's going to get knocked out early, man. Tukhugov wins in round 1 is plus 300, so I'll take that.
All right, Tukhugov, round 1, plus 300 for my
Is
man.
plus 300 allowed? Or are we talking plus 350?
I got
300's all good, yeah.
You're going to be upset because I got a couple of plays that are a tad bit under the 300 range.
Okay, all right.
You don't like that, but I had to pull it off on a couple of them. But man, I said it all week in spaces, stuff like that. When I talk to people, I said the same thing. Like, I know now for sure, but I said it during the week that Tukhugov is a lazy fucking guy. He's lazy. He doesn't put in his cardio. I can guarantee you, this guy is just lazy, plain and simple. He missed weight again at 55, and this guy's small. He's not big. Like, why is he missing weight now at 55? The only thing I could say is he's got bad eating habits and he's lazy. And you know why I think he's lazy is because he has bad cardio. He doesn't have good cardio, this guy. He gets tired. Now he misses weight again. I don't know how many times this guy's missed weight already. They gave him a fight at 55, and he still missed weight. So even before this, I had a bet on Brenner at plus 420. The line has moved against me. It's 460. I understand the fact that people say, you know, Brenner, his striking defense is bad, and I agree. But I will say he's dangerous on the feet. He throws a lot of like dangerous stuff, similar to a lot of the shoot box guys. In his fight against a very, very talented fighter in Gabriel Santos. Gabriel Santos is going to be in the UFC very, very soon. We saw him dismantle Della big time in the LFA in their last fight. And that fight it was 1-1 going into the third round. And you know how Santos won it? And Santos is a striker. He won it by grappling because honestly, there was parts of that fight where Brenner was touching him up on the feet, and he made Santos grapple. And that guy's a striker. He's not a grappler. So for me, like when I look at the overall picture here, I see a guy that's a little bit tougher, a little bit more hard-nosed in Brenner, a guy that to me has better cardio than Tukhugov, who's probably going to be the bigger guy here in the cage with these two guys, with Tukhugov moving up. And I do agree with you. I think it's early Tukhugov, but if Brenner weathers that storm, the guy's a high-pressure fighter. He throws a lot of volume. I think he can eventually tire out Tukhugov, and who knows what happens after that. So I just think the way Tukhugov fights, man, he fights close with almost everybody. And minus 600 for a guy like this that has bad cardio, that doesn't probably train correctly. It just doesn't seem like that. It's hard to imagine this guy being minus 600 against a lot of people. So I'm not saying Elvis Brenner is very good fighter, but I think he has the intangibles, the cardio, the toughness. He's from shoot box. He's the younger fighter. And I also think he's probably improving as well. I mean, now he's training with Oliveira full time. You have to think this guy's making some improvements over there at shoot box. So I did go with Brenner. That is my Lambo play. It's plus 460 on the money line. So I'm going to go with that. I have a small bet on it tracked as well. So let's move on. Fight number 2 in the night. It is in the featherweight division. It is the 7-0-1 Blake Bilder versus the 13-6 Shane Young. And I can kick this one off. This is one of them that I couldn't get to the 300 mark. I'm going to take Young by decision. It's plus 250. And I'll be honest, man. Blake Bilder, to me, I don't know. He's undefeated. He's never lost and all this stuff. This guy seems like a big, big fade to me. I mean, when you watch this guy fight, getting dropped 2 or 3 times by Carvalho, getting dropped by a grappler in Buenafuente, that's all horrible looks to me. And honestly, in the Dana White's Contender Series against Alex Morgan was touching him up before Bilder landed this shot behind the ear and opportunistically got his back, and Morgan defended as worse as possible, and he got choked out. But like Shane Young has good takedown defense, has a good get-up game. He's the better striker here, in my opinion. Overall, like I just think Shane Young is the better fighter here in general. And the only thing I do see from Shane Young is I don't see a lot of power in his shots. I don't think he's very powerful. He has decent kicks and stuff, but I just don't see him carrying a lot of power in his hands. So that's why I went with Young by decision at plus 250. But I really like the Young side in general here on the money line. What do you like here, James?
Yeah, so I agree with you. I don't think Blake Bilder's all that good. He doesn't really seem like he's good at anything. He gets hit on the feet, get dropped by Cavalier multiple times, like you said. Ended up finishing him in round 2, but he didn't look great in that fight. In the Buenafuerte fight before that, completely dominated on the ground for most of the fight. Threw up a Hail Mary submission in round 2, end of round 2. 20 seconds left in the fight, whatever it was. In the round, sorry. And, he got the submission there. So, again, come from behind win. The Morgan fight was strange. He just latched onto a submission from standing. But he doesn't pass the eye test. Mike's MMA Picks did a tweet, I think last week or the week before. Shout out to Mike. And he said, name a fighter that doesn't pass the eye test, but they find a way to win. And I commented Blake Bilder because that's exactly what he does, right? He never passes the eye test. But somehow he's undefeated, man. He's 7-0 in his pro career, and then like 6-0 or whatever it was in his amateur career. So it's strange, but I think that he's probably in over his head here. He can't keep pulling these things out of his ass. You know what I mean? Shane Young's a good UFC fighter. I do think he's a UFC level fighter. He's got good cardio, good volume. And I think Shane Young's going to melt him at some point. So I like Shane Young to win in round 2 or round 3. Now, I'm just trying to find that here. Maybe you can help me. What are they giving me for Shane Young round 2 or round 3?
Okay, so Shane Young, round 2, just in general, is best line is plus 800 on BetOnline.
Yeah.
And then you can also get in round 3, plus 1,300 on FanDuel.
Yeah, so I'd like to do the combination, Shane Young wins in round 2 or 3. But I can't actually see that right in front of me right now, the odds for that.
So the only way you could do combination that I know of, I think it's you have to pick an actual like prop with it, like round 2-3 KO or round 2-3 submission.
It depends what book you're on.
Most of my books. I mean, sorry.
Yeah, no, but so I guess for the Lambo parlay, Shane Young wins in round 2 or round 3, right? I would split it between round 2 and round 3. If you can't do that, I have a lot of books where you can just bet, group round pricing. So I think he's just going to melt him, in round 2 or round 3. If you only have books that allow to pick one round, I would probably go with round 2. Round 3 is just pushing it a little bit. Shane Young does have a round 2 finish in the UFC as well. So we'll stick with Shane Young round 2, but I do like the Young to finish inside the distance 2 or 3.
I will say, James, one thing I've learned, and I bet obviously this show is basically revolved around props. Yeah. If you're playing round 3, play round 2. And if you're playing round 2, play round 3. I just kind of like split up whatever. Let's say you want to bet $50 on round 2. Well, split it up. Be a little bigger on round 2 and then put a little bit on round 3. Because me and Tim has been burned so many times picking one or the other when we knew this guy has an advantage later, and we get burned, you know what I'm saying, by picking one or the other, and it happens in the other round. So that's just a little tidbit from what I've experienced betting these props.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was, but someone had bet, I remember this distinctly. So I think it was Z, Marlon Moraes versus Merab Dvalishvili. And we both cashed on Dvalishvili inside the distance. But I bet on Merab to win in round 2 and round 3. And I'm pretty sure he bet on Merab inside the distance, but also Merab in round 3, right? And he was so close to getting that round 3. It was like 10 seconds off round 3, but then he ended up finishing in round 2 and he lost that bet completely. So there's tons of spots like that. So if you do think the fight is going to finish late, 4 minutes into round 2 is late. That's 9 minutes into a fight. That's a long ass time. You know what I mean? So you have to be careful with that.
And that's what I mean. Like, that's why we kind of split it up now. And I make sure I cover my bases with round 2 and round 3. Tim is in the house. What is up, Tim? George hits out a fact. Undefeated fighters this year, 8-0. Can this guy still pull it off? We will see. Fight number 3. It is in the strawweight division. It is the 7-3 Loma Lookboonmee versus the 6-2 Elise Reed. What do you have here, James, for this one?
Yeah, so I like Loma in general. I think I like her style, man, because I've competed Muay Thai, I've trained Muay Thai for many years. So I like Muay Thai, you know, and I always wish that there was more Thai fighters in the UFC. There's not many. There's not many in MMA really, but they are starting to come over now, especially with the emergence of a few of the MMA camps in Thailand. Tiger Muay Thai is the one everyone knows about. Lookboonmee actually has her own setup now in Thailand. She's a really good fighter, good leg kicks, good teep kicks, best teep kick in the game, and she's actually started to implement some grappling in her game. You know, she's a Thai fighter, so she's very good at getting the fight to the ground with sweeps and certain trips. And in the clinch, she's very good at distributing her opponent's movement and her opponent's weight to get takedowns. But she doesn't really do much damage from top position because she's not familiar with there. But she seems to be doing a little bit more lately. In that Gomez fight last time out, Gomez was pushing the grappling, but she reversed there a couple of times. She was doing some damage from top, good elbows from top. So it's kind of hard to get a Lambo on this fight, right? Because my official prediction is Loma decision. But you're talking about minus money on that. I mean, I don't know if fight odds is correct, but I'm seeing a minus 200 on one book, which I don't think is right because most of the other books are like minus 10.
Loma by decision minus 200?
I mean, on fightodds.io, which I kind of use over best fight odds now because it's just a shit show, that book. Yeah. On the book SIA, it had, which is Sports Interaction, it has minus 200 Loma decision, but I don't actually believe that because like her money line is 300. So I think that's probably incorrect. But even on a couple of the other books on fightodds.io, Jazz Sports, I don't know what that one is, but it's minus 175 be a decision. So I mean, it's insane decision price. But what I've gone for the Lambo, so I'm kind of going back and forth between the two. So Loma inside the distance straight up is plus 300, right? Which I think is a decent bet. If you want to be cautious, but you still want a Lambo, I'd say go for that. But I actually like Loma Lookboonmee in round 3. I like Loma to melt her. Loma's not a Sijara Eubank. She's not going to take her down and ground and pound her for the first round finish like she did against Elise Reed. Loma's a type of fighter where she's going to wear you down with leg kicks. She's going to wear you down with knees to the body in the clinch. She's going to wear you down with elbows so you're cut, you're bleeding. Come that second and third round, Elise Reed's going to be in trouble, in my opinion. We saw Loma do it to quite a few opponents. Her last time, Denise Gomez, she was coming on in that third round. It seemed like, you know, she wore her down over that 15-minute fight. And I think she could do it to Elise Reed here. So Loma Lookboonmee in round 3 at plus 1,500 is a decent shot for me. Again, if you want to be real cautious, you can take inside the distance 300. But I'll stick with Loma round 3 for my official prediction. My official Lambo prediction.
All right. Yeah, man. I'm honestly on the Loma side. I think this money line is actually justified. I mean, watching Elise Reed, where is she better than Loma in this fight? I don't think anywhere. She's not a better grappler. She's not the better striker. I think Loma has a significant strength advantage here against her as well, in the clinch especially. And then she has those, you know, those tosses, those trips. Like, she's really good in the clinch, and I really like what I see from her. And I think she actually hits pretty hard for 115. And I know her record doesn't show a lot of knockouts, but her ground and pound is pretty nasty when she's on top. She's throwing nasty elbows. She's throwing nasty elbows in the clinch. And I agree with you. I think she's going to melt her. I'm just going to go with the straight up KO that I already bet. It's plus 420, the best line on Bet Rivers. I think she's going to knock her out. She's going to stop her. It might be one of those mercy stoppages, but I think she's going to stop her eventually in this fight. And her leg kicks, like you mentioned, man, those things, they're nasty. So, yeah, I really like the Loma side here. Loma by KO plus 420 is how I'm going to play this one here. Moving on. Fight number 4. It is in the featherweight division. It is the 10-2 Jack Jenkins versus the 12-4 Don Shainis. And get ready for this one because I like Don Shainis in this fight. I know a lot of people like
what?
I like Don Shainis in this fight, and there's one reason why. Jack Jenkins has not faced any wrestlers in his career, like none, zero. After watching all his tape, and I watched probably 7 of his fights, none of these guys wrestled him. Absolutely none. Even the guys that are like grapplers, like I think that guy Costa's a grappler, but he's like a terrible wrestler. He could never get inside to actually try to grapple, right? So I do think Jack Jenkins is the much, much, much better striker, and it's not even close. He's got very nasty calf kicks. He's got good striking. But what I did see on Dana White's Contender Series that I did not like seeing is how he ended up kind of like on bottom at the end of that first round against Linares, who I consider a very, very, very mediocre fighter at best. And he looks very, very weak, to be honest, this Linares guy. When I watched Don Shainis, James, one thing that stuck out to me is he's very wild when he strikes. He does throw with a lot of power. But where I see the advantage here is the strength advantage, in my opinion. I think Don Shainis is going to be significantly stronger than this guy. Remember, Don Shainis has fought at 55 against much bigger guys. I mean, he fought much better opposition. Like Chris Lencioni is a good fighter. And Don Shainis went out there and beat him. You know, Nathan Williams is not the best fighter. I'm not going to say he is, but he's a seasoned vet who's huge for 45. And when you look at that fight, like they do not look like they're in the same weight class, but you know, he's grappling against, you know, Nathan Williams, who's a black belt and doing well in that fight, reversing, he's getting reversed, but Nathan Williams is gigantic. That's the thing that I see here. I think Don Shainis can get this fight to the ground and really have an advantage on the ground. That's why I think Don Shainis by submission plus 1,600, something feels very, very off about that line. I mean, we don't know how good or how bad Jack Jenkins can be off his back, right? Because we haven't seen it. And I really believe giving Shainis plus 1,600 submission is insanity to me. So that's my Lambo play. I like Don Shainis in this fight to win in general, but I really like the sub prop at plus 1,600. I'm pretty sure you're laughing, so you got to be on the other side, but go ahead.
Yeah, man. I honestly think that Don Shainis is probably one of the worst fighters I've ever taped. I really don't rate him whatsoever. I think he's so bad. I think he's terrible. He's a bit aggro, you know, he'll go for it. I guess he could win fights just because he's, you know, a madman and he's going to keep coming at you. But skill level, I think, is just horrendous. He's got no striking defense. He's got a bad chin. I've seen him gas out. He pushes through it decently, to be honest, but I've seen him gas. He's got no game plan. He's just wild. I don't think he's good at all. I don't actually know whether Jack Jenkins is that good or not. Like, there's a lot of people saying he's the second coming of, you know, whoever the fuck. But I don't know that. I'm not going to say Jack Jenkins is this mega prospect. I actually don't think he's as good as a lot of people are hyping him up to be. But in this fight, I think they're giving him a massive layup. I mean, who is Don Shainis? Like, he's not got a good record. What did he do to get in the UFC? I don't know why he's in the UFC. Because he fought Sadiq Youssef on short notice. Was that the reason they brought him to the UFC? Because he doesn't do anything on the regional scene to be brought into the UFC. And now they're flying him all the way over to Australia to build up this prospect that they have in Contender Series. I think they know what they're doing. And I don't take much into that because, you know, people say that all the time, like, oh, you know, he's being fed to this guy and, oh, the UFC wants this guy to win. That doesn't mean anything. What means anything is watch the tape like you've done and decide who you think is going to win the fight, right? But there is some credence to it when, you know, like if you are of the opinion that, you know, he's being fed and then you can agree that the UFC are feeding him, then fair enough. But I think this is a clear setup fight for Jack Jenkins. So, yeah, I think he's going to win. I think he's going to win inside the distance. I think that the round 2 is a good look because Don Shainis is going to go crazy in round 1. And so after round one, I think he's going to gas. I think Jack's going to get his time in. I think he's going to do what he wants to him on the feet. And I think he's going to take him down. I think he's going to reverse position anytime Don tries to get the fight to the ground in round two. And I think he's probably going to get a TKO from top position or something. So, it's not a massive take I'm making here. He's a minus 400 favorite. He's 80% implied. It's not a big deal. But I think Jack Jenkins round two is like plus 400. So I quite like that spot.
All right. But don't forget one thing. He fought Jay Ellis. You don't think that's deserving of the UFC?
True.
Okay.
You know what? I forgot about that. I'm going to take back my whole take, and I'm actually cashing out all my Jack Jenkins inside the distance bets now. If you go up against Jay Ellis and live to tell the tale, you're a good man in my book. So shout out to Don.
I mean, to be honest, he has better wins than Jenkins does, in my opinion. Like Cody Pfister, former UFC guy.
Pfister. Who's that?
He's a former UFC guy.
That fella that got brutalized by Sage Northcutt, the model. Is that same guy?
Yeah, but I mean, Lencioni is not a bad fighter.
Well, Lencioni's not bad, to be honest. Yeah,
he beat Lencioni.
I don't know how he did that.
So to me, I mean, grappling he out-grappled Lencioni, and Lencioni's a very good grappler. He's a black belt. But either way, I mean, we're on opposite ends here. But I agree with you. Like, Shainis is not very good at all. But I do think, just from watching tape, I think he's going to have the strength advantage. And I think he might have the grappling advantage here, to be honest. So that's the only reason I played him here. So,
yeah. Look, you don't need that much to go right for your plus 400 or whatever it is to be a decent bet, So I'll never shame anyone for taking a shot on a massive, massive underdog like that, because MMA is crazy, and we see time and time again that fighters with big prices, they win. You do that every week. On the regional scene, you're always betting plus 300s and stuff. And Jack is unproven, so like, and may the best man win.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Moving on, we go to the lightweight division. It is the 15-5 Jamie Mullarkey versus the 11-0 Francisco Prado. And James, you can kick this one off.
Yeah, this one's going to be Jamie Mullarkey via submission. It's almost a plus 1,000. I think I locked it in for plus 950. It maybe has moved now. I'm not sure. I know a lot of books are doing plus 800, but I see the fight playing out in the grappling for a lot of it. So Prado comes in, massive hooks, massive spin kicks, wheel kicks, big knees. I've seen him knock guys out of a knee, but he always pushes the grappling, right? So he likes to get the fight to the ground. I think the fight's going to go to the ground one of two ways. Either Prado cracks Jamie early. Jamie realizes that, whoa, this kid's got power. Let me take him down. Let me grind him out like he does in every fight. Or Prado's just going to get the fight to the ground by shooting takedowns himself, right? But I do think Jamie Mullarkey is the better fighter. I think Jamie Mullarkey has the much better experience. He's been fighting the who's who in his division, at least in the middle tier. You're talking about Johnson, Jalen Turner, people like that. He didn't do too bad against Jalen Turner. I was massive on Jalen Turner in that spot. And Jamie Mullarkey surprised me a little bit in that spot. So I think he's going to reverse position if the fight gets onto the ground. I think he's going to take him down when he wants to. I think Prado will start to gas out after round one, especially 2-3 minutes into round two. Jamie Mullarkey's got such pace and such pressure that he can gas a lot of people out. He did it to Devontae Smith, done it to a few fighters. So I think Jamie Mullarkey's submission is a good look, especially submission late props. Talking submission round two, submission round three, you're talking plus 3,000, plus 4,000, So I do like those spots. But Jamie Mullarkey via submission, just to not get cute, is my Lambo play.
Yeah, man, I'm right there with you. I mean, I couldn't tell you any better than what you just said. Like, I just see this guy. He's very reckless, man. This Prado guy, even in his wrestling, like, yeah, he's out wrestling these bad guys, but, he doesn't look very technical with anything he does. He just does everything with brute strength and explosiveness. I think Mullarkey is going to teach him a vet lesson here. I think submission plus 950 is a very, very good line. I already played it earlier in the week. Mullarkey's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, right? So he's not like, this other guy, Prado, I think he's a purple belt. He's fighting and subbing absolute dishwashers and janitors. So it's not like we're saying, oh, he's finishing good guys. They're all in the regional scene, all in South America. Not very good guys. So give me Mullarkey plus 950. I think that's a great look by submission.
I'm right there with you.
Moving on. Fight number 6. It is in the flyweight division. It is the 7-2 Clayton Rodriguez versus the 13-6 Shannon Ross. Kick this one off real quick. My son came in the room, so go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, mate. All right. Clayton Rodriguez versus Shannon Ross. Yeah, a lot of talks being made of Shannon Ross and his appendicitis, right? So he said he had appendicitis. He had to get rushed to hospital straight after the fight. I don't know how you can fight with appendicitis. I'll say that. I guess it wasn't super severe because appendicitis does get worse and worse and worse, especially if your appendix bursts. It can be super fatal. So maybe it was just like the early stages of appendicitis or something, because if it wasn't, then you can't fight for appendicitis. So a lot of people are saying, that's why he had a bad performance on Contender Series. Honestly, if I look pre-tape, and this is what Couch Warrior said when I did a podcast with him yesterday or 2 days ago, he didn't look that good pre-tape either. So I do think Clayton's going to knock him out here. I think Clayton's too big for him. Clayton missed weight here today. I know it says that their height are the same, same height, but I think Clayton's the much bigger build. I think he's the bigger frame. Height is not everything. I think he's just a bigger, thicker guy. So I think that Clayton's probably going to land something here. I think a flying knee is definitely in play. I even think he could dominate on the mat if he gets takedowns, which he potentially will get takedowns. So I actually like Clayton's inside the distance here. We try and bump it up a little bit because Clayton inside the distance right now is, you're talking about plus 110, which is kind of crazy. Or not even that. So minus 110 on some books, which is crazy because I actually played the under for like plus 120 earlier in the week. So money's come in on it. But submission is live maybe, but I'll just go with a KO. Plus 300 on Clayton KO is going to be my Lambo play for this fight. But I'm keen to hear your thoughts because I know we spoke in the DMs a little bit last time, if I'm remembering correctly, about Shannon Ross on the Contender Series. So I don't know if you heard my first part of my breakdown, but I spoke about Shannon's appendicitis and maybe he had the appendicitis when he fought that fight. Maybe that's why he fought, he fought poorly. So I'd be keen to hear your breakdown on the fight in general. But yeah, my Lambo play is Rodriguez KO plus 300.
Yeah, I have that. I have that written down. I like Rodriguez in this spot a lot, man. He's the 6 years younger fighter. We know, at 33, it's the weight cut starts to get very hard. The higher you go in age at flyweight. And then when I watch tape on Shannon Ross, and obviously I do a lot of Dana White's Contender Series stuff.
Yeah.
What I start seeing is this guy is getting dropped. He's got dropped in each of his last 3 fights against Usyk, against Freelo, and then multiple times against Salvador. Yeah. And that tells me like this guy's chin is just not very good anymore. But the problem is he fights like he has a good chin, right? He's going in there just swinging bombs like I can take any punch and then give it back. And I really think Clayton Rodriguez has power, has some devastating kicks. Just think about it like this. Like CJ Vergara took a lot of big shots from Clayton. Can Shannon Ross take those shots? I highly doubt it. Vergara just has a crazy chin. For me, I like the KO prop here. I only can get 275. That's the best line on MGM here. But I like it. I think he's going to knock this guy out. Maybe possibly sub him as well, because I think he's the better grappler as well. But I think the chin on Shannon Ross is his biggest liability, and I think that's where it's going to come from. So KO for Clayton Rodriguez plus 275. I think Clayton kind of cardio dumped too in his very first fight in the UFC. The big lights, the stage, it probably got to him a little, because I don't think his cardio is bad at all when I watch his tape. So, Clayton by KO right there.
Did he miss weight? Clayton missed weight again today.
Yeah.
Did he miss weight? I was speaking to Wiz about this, and I didn't check it before I came on here. Did he miss weight before? for the Contenders or CJ fight or not?
I do believe he missed for possibly Contenders.
I
Let me
felt
make
like
sure.
he did, but it might just be in my head.
No, actually, he didn't. He didn't miss weight.
Okay. We
No, he
see
made
so
weight.
many fights, man. It's probably one of the other
He
contenders,
made weight.
Brazilians.
He made weight.
Okay. Well, he missed
So,
today.
yeah.
You know, he's a big guy, you know, so I'm not surprised he missed weight. We'll
Yeah,
see if that affects him at all.
Yeah, he missed weight.
Just a pound.
We'll move on here. Fight number, where are we at here? 7. It's in the featherweight division. It is the 10-1-1 Joshua Kulaba versus the 7-1 Melsik Baghdasaryan. And I can take this one here. This is one where literally prior to any tape, right? I thought this was a very good spot for Kulaba. I thought, even money when the line opened, it was like minus 114. I said, this is a good spot for Kulaba. I think, he could possibly implement a little bit of the grappling. In the striking realm, I think he has the better hands. So I said, you know what? Kulaba minus 114 is a good bet. And I went ahead and placed it when the line opened. After I taped it, man, I came away and just watched Kulaba. He just doesn't grapple. He just never, ever proactively grapples. He likes to strike. So then when I ran it through my head again and I said, this is probably a 15-minute kickboxing match. Now who do I like? And honestly, I just think it's a coin flip. I think the line is accurate, and I just couldn't get to a side. So with all of that being said, what kind of Lambo am I going to get at? I'm going to go with the split decision here. The split decision is plus 500, which I'm a little shocked because I think the fight isn't it scheduled to isn't the price
minus 150 or something?
Minus 150 goes to decision in a 15-minute kickboxing match. I mean, I think this fight might end in split decision, honestly. Give me split decision here. It's plus 500. What do you like here, James?
Yeah, so I like Kulaba to win. I bet on Kulaba. But as the week, I bet on him about 4 or 5 days ago. And honestly, as the week's gone on, I find myself second guessing my bet. I don't usually do that. That's not often when that happens to me. I have the general anxiety sometimes of placing a bet. We all, excuse me, we all get it. It's normal, right? When you place a bet, like, did I place the right bet? But every now and then I start to question my bets a little bit more. And I have done that with Kulaba, so yeah, I'm gonna look at. I have looked at some more tape, and there's not that much I can get. Really, what the fight comes down to is Kulaba gonna wrestle? He shot takedowns, right? He doesn't do it a lot, but he has shot takedowns. But he hasn't really been successful with his takedowns. I don't think he's landed any, right? So, and then you look at Melsik, and he's defended basically every takedown he's ever faced. But they haven't been through good wrestlers. But Kulaba's not a good wrestler. So, I do think Melsik probably will be able to stuff some takedowns. But if anybody's getting the grappling, it will be Joshua Kulaba, right? This is a really interesting fight to me. But without going and fully breaking the whole fight down, I've bet Kulaba. I think Kulaba is going to win. Kulaba decision is not good enough for a Lambo. So I do think there's a world in which Melsik Baghdasaryan gasses out in this fight. He seems to gas out in every fight that goes late. And he does fight through it well. And Kulaba isn't the cardio, the best cardio athlete of all time, but he's definitely better than Melsik. And I just feel like Melsik's going to be badly exposed at some point. I think he's going to be gas out, and someone's going to take him down and really do damage from there. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility he gasses out through two rounds, and in the third round he's just really gassed. Kulaba is able to get a takedown and just dominate from top position. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. So I'm going to go with Kulaba in round 3 here. It's a massive price. It's plus 1,600. And I think Melsik's a guesser. That's one of the big reasons I played Joshua Kulaba on money line, because I think Melsik will gas out. Anytime you get someone who will gas out, round 3 is live, So I'm going to play Joshua Kulaba in round 3 at plus 600, plus 1,600.
I can't blame you. Honestly, I can't blame you because I do think he has a slightly better cardio here. but I don't think it's by much either. He kind of gasses also in the third, like you mentioned. But he's definitely has the better cardio between the two guys, and Melsik just goes kind of ham in the first round, right? So I
big
think
kick.
Kulaba is going to have to mind his P's and Q's early, but honestly, I think Kulaba has power in his hands as well. I don't think he's like some slouch when it comes to striking. So, yeah.
He hurts everyone, right? He hurts everyone. I think he dropped Violin. He dropped Charles Jourdain. He dropped Choi. I know they're not the best fighters of all time, but I mean, he's dropping all of these people. You know what I mean? It's a big thing.
His straight left is really nice, man. I mean, and then the way he switches stances, I mean, he can fight out of both stances. He doesn't mind.
Yeah.
Moving on, fight number 8. It is in the light heavyweight division. It is the 9-3 Tyson Pedro versus the 13-5 Modestas Bukauskas. What do you have here, James, for your Lambo play?
Yeah, man, this is a tough fight because I want to fade Tyson Pedro at some point. He hasn't shown us much over a 15-minute fight. Every single fight he has ever won has been in the first round. If he gets out of the first round, usually doesn't go great for him. His gas tank isn't that good. I just don't know if Modestas is the guy to fade him with, man. Modestas is flying a long, long way from the UK. He's Lithuanian, but he's UK. I think he grew up a lot of times in a lot of his youth in the UK. He fights in Cage Warriors. He's a UK fighter. He's traveling all the way from UK. It's a long, long flight. I've done it before myself. It's not a good flight to do. Obviously, the jet lag is going to be huge. And he only fought 3 weeks ago in Cage Warriors, or around that time, maybe even less than that. He became the Cage Warriors' second 2-time champion. And that was with a 4th-round comeback win. So it wasn't like he took no damage and it was a 60-second stoppage. That was a 4th-round win. And the thing about Modestas is he's a comeback fighter. If you're a comeback fighter against Pedro, he might not allow you to be there to come back from what he does, right? So it's not really a good style. If you fight Pedro, you need to be very tough, very durable, and able to go into the later rounds. He's able to go in the later rounds, but he's just not that tough and durable, in my opinion. Was finished by Khalil Roundtree, was finished by Jimmy Crute with a shot very early. I think Pedro's probably going to win in round 1 again. I will say, though, another layer to this fight. This is a weird fight, man. Another layer to this fight is Pedro was so calm in his last fight against Ike Villanueva, right? He looked like a different fighter. He was leg kicking from range. He was jabbing. He threw about 1 strike every 60 seconds when he usually throws a lot more. He was a lot more patient, and he took a couple years off because he had some surgeries, right? I think he had double ACL surgery, which you don't come back from that, right? So it's strange. He's training at City Kickboxing now, which is a gym near me, and a lot of my friends train there. So I got a little bit of an inside scoop on him. He may be coming out a lot more patient than he did before. Now, if that's the case, then maybe he doesn't gas as hard. You know, it's just a weird fight, but I'm just going to stick to what's been happening in all of Pedro's fights. Tyson Pedro in round 1 is just hovering under that acceptable Lambo line. I think at the moment we're looking at like plus 250. I'll just double check, but I know it's around there. So Pedro round 1.
It's 250. Yeah, you can get 250.
250. So we'll go with that just because, like I said, Modestas lets things happen to him. He doesn't. And then once they've all happened, then he comes back and does things, right? He's like Homer Simpson. But if he lets things happen to him, I think he's going to get slumped, you know, either a submission because Tyson's a good grappler or a knockout. So Tyson Pedro round 1 for me, plus 250, but I'm not confident.
It's so funny. I kind of feel the same thing that you're saying. Like, it's a weird fight, man.
Yeah.
Like, everything kind of says Pedro should like go out there and do well in the first round. And, you know, but man, I have this inkling in this fight when I tape it, like, Bukauskas is your typical guy that circles around the cage, does nothing for a while, like you said, until he has to, and then he comes back, and he's just a very weird fighter. Like, when I watched him against Chuck Campbell in that Cage Warriors fight, like,
yeah,
I know Chuck Campbell because I know a lot of these regional guys, right?
Yeah,
Chuck Campbell sucks, dude. Like, he's bad. I thought Bukauskas was going to go in there and just destroy this guy, right? 4 rounds later, this guy is still there. And then finally, Bukauskas But when you watch the fight, like Bukauskas is circling the cage and circling and running and pop shotting and throwing kicks and nothing, no power into his shots. And I just feel like he might do the same shit again here against, a guy that's very dangerous in Tyson Pedro early. And then, like you mentioned, both these guys have major knee surgeries, right? There might be a lot of reluctancy here, and this fight might actually get to decision, man. I would not be shocked, honestly. Yeah. I have a small bet on fight goes to decision at plus 220, and the line has been shot down. It's like plus 170 now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I took a little bit as a stab for my Lambo parlay play. Bukauskas by decision, it's plus 550. I don't know if he's going to be able to finish. Like, I don't see a lot of power from this guy, honestly. Like, he's like, especially his last fight, like, it just tells me a lot that I don't know if this guy wants to go in there and just like throw bombs against Pedro. So he might do the same shit he did. He might score points, but I don't know if he's going to be able to finish Pedro. And the only finishing equity I see here is mostly on the Pedro side. So, I'm going to go with Bukauskas decision plus 550. Again, not a very strong take because this fight is extremely weird for me. So, in general.
Pedro never going to decision. I'd be on that with you too, but Pedro never going to decision. I thought the books, may give us a little bit of even better price than plus 220. I mean, it's light heavyweight. The guy's never been to decision. You could almost say, goes to decision will be plus 300 or more. So at 170 now, I'll probably pass. But
he's been one time. He's been one time.
Okay.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It was Latifi and there was grappling.
Latifi. I do remember that one, actually. I didn't watch it.
But I think it's more like my thinking. It's more the Bukauskas style, right?
Yeah.
Circling the cage, running around, kicking here and there. Like, that's what's going to cause this fight to go to decision, not like Pedro doing it.
But that's what he does now. That's what Pedro's style now is a lot more relaxed, a lot more calm. So actually it helps out your bet even more.
Yeah, that's even better. Like I was happy to hear what you said. Like, he's kind of more patient now. So that just makes it, that even screams more to me that this might go to decision,
Yeah.
Who's going to win that decision? I don't freaking know, but I just went with the bigger price tag and plus 550 and a guy that's actually been to decision multiple times. Moving on. Fight number 9. It is again in the light heavyweight division. It is the 12-3 Jimmy Crute versus the 13-3 Alonzo Menifield. And I can kick this one off. I think Menifield is very live in the first round because and I have him by KO at plus 900. Which I knew the line was completely off. Now it's like plus 550, okay? Because I think that's where most of Alonzo Menifield's equity is in the first round KO. Yeah. But the only reason I feel that is because Jimmy Crute does not have good fight IQ, in my opinion. His fight IQ is bad. And if he decides to strike and not grapple in the first round, he might get knocked out. But if he does grapple, I do think he has a big, big advantage when he's on top. Jimmy Crute, round 1 and 2 submission is plus 320. I think that's a good look. I think he can get in some positions there where he can get a submission on this guy if he gets on top. Now, if he decides to strike, like I said, like he did against Hill, he's probably going to get put to sleep again. He does throw with power himself, so I could see a world where he knocks out Menifield. But I don't trust this chin at all. I don't trust Jimmy Crute's chin at all. And I kind of feel like the guy is fragile. One day it's his leg, the next day it's his knee, then it's his chin. I don't know. But Jimmy Crute by submission 1-2 plus 320 is what I'm going to give out here for my Lambo play. What do you have here?
Yeah, I'll just keep it simple. I do like Jimmy Crute to get the win. I think Alonzo's like kind of like a bad fighter, but Alonzo KO1 is like plus 600. So I think he's going to come out swinging. I think Jimmy Crute, there's definitely some credence to him also coming out and swinging. And even if he goes for takedowns, I don't know if he's going to get them instantly. Alonzo Menifield has good takedown defense. If there's one thing he has good, it's takedown defense. So Alonzo Menifield KO1 at plus 600 is not a bad poke.
I agree with you. His takedown defense is actually pretty good. Moving on, fight number 10. It is in the heavyweight division. It is the 5-3 Justin Tafa versus the 13-7 Parker Porker. What do you have here, James?
I have a weird fetish betting on Parker Porter. I don't know why the fuck I always do it to myself, but I do. And he's been kind of profitable at the end of the day. I didn't take him against Jolton because that's just crazy talk, but I think Parker's definitely the side here. I mean, there's loads and loads of Justin Tafa love. I don't really understand why. I mean, I guess he could knock him out in 60 seconds, but after that, does he really have considerable advantages? I mean, not really. I don't really see how Justin Tafa can look like a favorite unless he knocks him out early, but we know that can happen at heavyweight, and so it's hard to kind of price that in. I think Parker Porter's got the better volume. I think he's got the better cardio. I think he's got grappling upside. Whether he gets it down, I don't know, but he's the one with the grappling upside. Justin Tafa doesn't. So for me, he's definitely the side. I think he's probably going to win a decision here. Decision's decent price, man. Decision is like plus 360. That's a Lambo right there. But I'm just going to, like I said, I got a fetish on betting Parker Porter fights, and I just want to make it even more degenerate because I'm going to say Parker Porter late props. So we know Justin Tafa's gassy. It's not like the worst gas of all time. Like he'll fight through it. Carlos Felipe, he went 3 rounds. He fought well, decently. But Parker Porter has better gas in my opinion. Fights through it better in my opinion. Parker Porter wins in round 3 is plus 1,500. I mean, that's decent. I think round 3, he might just be tired, Justin Tafa. If Parker gets on, Parker will shoot takedowns. He might not get them, but he'll definitely shoot them. It's not for the one to try, and he tries them basically every fight. So if he gets on top in round 3, I think he's going to squash him. So Parker Porter round 3 at plus 1,500 is good enough for me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate that look at all. This is another one where I played Parker Porter on the opener, like close to the opener, plus 150. And I kept the bet. And after rewatching, I came away and thought to myself, there's a way where this guy probably gets knocked out in the first round. Like Tafa hits pretty hard. He's a big dude. And Parker Porter is there and there to be hit, to be honest, on the feet. Like he gets clocked. And the one thing I did see from him is like when he's faced actual good strikers with power, he tends to get knocked out. Like Daukaus knocked him out. Almeida obviously subbed him, but he was knocked out earlier. This guy's been knocked out multiple times. He was close to being knocked out in the what's his name fight? He got hurt bad in the Bordeaux fight, right? And I think if Tafa lands, he's gonna be able to knock this guy out. And round 1, Tafa KO is plus 440. I think that's when he's most dangerous. And again, when you look at Tafa, like he knocks out people in the first. He's knocked out a couple of second round knockouts as well. But the guys that he didn't knock out, James, these guys are just blockheads, man. Like Carlos Felipe is an absolute blockhead. It's hard to knock that guy out. Jared Vandera, another freaking blockhead. Yeah, you can knock him out, but it takes a lot of shots to knock this dude out. I know he recently. I know.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I mean, look at Waldo Cortez Acosta. He landed everything in the kitchen sink and couldn't knock this guy out, right?
Yeah, he couldn't knock Chase Sherman out either, though.
Huh?
I don't think Waldo hits that hard. I mean, he couldn't knock Chase Sherman out either.
Yeah, but historically, just in general, like Vandera, it's hard to knock the guy out, right? It takes a while. It takes accumulation. The guys that knocked him out is Spivak and Romanov, but that's from ground and pound, right? And those are like mercy.
He's durable.
Stuff. And then Chase Sherman in the third after, a million punches. I just think the guy is durable. And I don't think Parker Porter is that durable. I don't think he has the chin that these other two guys have. And so With that
Tafa
being
might
said,
not hit that hard though. I don't think Tafa really. I mean, who he hasn't? You say he hasn't. The people he hasn't knocked out, but look who he has knocked out. The worst of the worst, you know.
yeah, but he's
Who's he
knocked
knocked?
all. But he's knocked all of them out.
Who? Harry Hunsucker, and who's the
Well,
other
yeah,
dude?
bad fighters. Juan Adams, Harry Unsucker, and a bunch of like regional guys.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Bottom of the bottom, you know.
Yeah, nobody that I'm saying is like some great guy. But I even just watching his tape, I do think he is heavy-handed. I just my opinion. I think he hits hard. And I kind of think Parker. And the one thing, I do want to say this is very important, actually. In an interview with Parker Porter, he says, I'm meeting him in the middle, biting down on my mouthpiece and going at it.
Great. He does that every fight, man. He does that every fight. He's there to be hit, 100%. He walks forward with his hands like that, and he's there to be hit. And he gets hit every fight. So, but he takes it.
He's pretty tough. I'm not going to say he's not tough, but he's been knocked out, multiple times. So it can happen. So I'm going to just go with the KO one on Tafa at plus 440. But I do think I agree with you as far as like advantages here. I think he has most of the advantages. As Parker Porter. Moving on, fight number 11. It is in the welterweight division. It is the 16-4 Randy Brown versus the 13-2 Jack Della Maddalena. And almost everybody that I've been talking to is on Randy Brown for the most part. A lot of sharp guys. And I could see why. Randy Brown, more experienced fighter, has fought very, very good fighters, has good wins in the UFC, is going to be the longer guy in the ring. It's a bigger cage, probably has the grappling advantage here. But I really like what I see from Maddalena, honestly. The body work. I just keep talking about it. He's getting knockouts with it. And when you watch his other tape, like he loves digging to the body, man. And what I see from Randy Brown is a lot of torso, a lot of body to hit. He has it. It's there to be hit. I wish I saw more leg kicking from Jack Della because he doesn't leg kick at all. No. And it would be very, very good for him to leg kick here. We know that against Randy Brown. But I think the body shots eventually get to Randy Brown. He's going to make him lower his hands, and he might eventually find that knockout. So for me, I'm going to go with Jack Della Maddalena, 2-3 KO. I don't think it's going to come real early, but as the fight goes on, as the hands start to drop, 2-3 KO is plus 320. I think this guy has very, very heavy hands, man. Like very, very heavy hands. I boxed like my entire livelihood. This guy hits very fucking hard, and his hands are monstrous. You could see them in pictures. He's got very, very big hands. So Randy Brown is a good fighter. Don't get me wrong. I just don't see a lot of proactive grappling from him. Most of his grappling comes from his opponents initiating the grappling, where he gets a takedown or trip or whatever. He just never initiates grappling. So I know a lot of people have said, oh, maybe he goes to grappling. I don't see it here at all.
Yeah.
I think this is a striking match, and I think there's a big power advantage on Maddalena's side. What do you have here, James?
Yeah, I'm on the same play, man. Randy Brown KO 2-3. Like you said, I don't think it comes early. Randy Brown's going to give him some problems initially with the distance, with how tall he is, his range. Randy Brown's got a good jab, good push kick, good leg kicks, all of that stuff. So, Jack's going to have to find his way in. I do think he'll be able to find his way in. From what I see on tape, he can find his way in. I think he's good enough to do that, good enough of a boxer, good enough of an MMA boxer. And I don't think Randy Brown reacts well to being hit. Randy Brown gets put in some weird positions by fighters he shouldn't really be put in by. Gets knocked out by Nico Price when Nico Price is on the ground. That's not a good look, in my opinion. Gets put in a deep choke by Wally Alves in the first round. That's not a good look, in my opinion. Obviously, flatlined by Vicente Luque. That's fine, but he's there to be hit. He's there to be knocked out. Even in his Chaos Williams fight, he got dropped in that fight. So I think Jack Della Maddalena is going to be able to close range at some point. And when he does, I don't think it's going to take much to hurt Randy Brown. I think a couple of body shots. He's got probably one of the best body work in the UFC that we've seen, lately at least. And I think that's probably going to knock out Randy Brown. So, man, shout out to anybody taking a shot on Randy Brown, because I understand, he's got the upside in lots of different areas of MMA, but this is a fight, man. And sometimes it's just like who hits harder, who can close range better, and who can land first, who's more durable. In my opinion, Jack's more durable. I know he's been hurt on the regional scene multiple times. We see that when we go back to his earlier fights. We know that, but I don't know, man. I do think that he's got more intangibles to win it. And I think he's going to drop him with a body shot or a hook combo or something like that. So Randy Brown KO, Jack KO 2-3 is pretty good, because I think he's more accumulative than like one-shot power, especially at that weight class. So I think 2 and 3 is going to add up. So yeah, I'll stick with your call. Plus 320 on KO 2-3 is good.
I mean, it's not an accident. He's ended every fight inside the distance except Angelusa. And Angelusa has crazy chin. I don't know what this guy's made of. His body and his chin is like crazy. Like he fights through everything. So, but I honestly, one thing you mentioned, the body work, I think he has the best body work in MMA, period. Now
looks like it.
Now, I mean, it's nasty, man. The way he digs to the liver there with the left hook, I mean, it's fucking bad. Yeah. I mean, if no one's ever experienced a shot to the liver, you probably don't want to experience it. It's one of the worst things ever, dude. Like literally, your whole body shuts down. You can't do anything.
Before, Gabriel Bonfim, the prospect who just got signed by the UFC, not the one who knocked out Terrence McKinney for anybody listening, but his brother, the one who finished Lazez. I said before his Lazez fight, that one of my all-time favorite matchups would be, and this was before he even fought Lazez, would be Gabriel Bonfim versus Jack Della, because they're both in the same weight class. They both got unbelievable boxing. I think that would be a barn burner. So I don't know if the UFC will put that on because it's 2 prospects, but man, I'd love to see that fight, man.
Yeah, I mean, Bonfim has the better grappling for sure between the two. Yep. But striking, I don't know, man. I think Jack's a little more tight defensively than Bonfim is, but Bonfim has power. Moving on, we are to the co-main event here. It's in the featherweight division, and it's the 14-3 Yair Rodriguez versus the 18-2 Josh Emmett. Kick it off to you, James. What do you got here?
This is a good fight, but I saw someone, I think it was Scott Shevlock, posted on Twitter, like, in 2 years, in 2025, both of these fighters will not be ranked in the top 5. And I completely agree with that. I think Yair Rodriguez has, had a weird rise to be fighting for the belt since, what's Yair Rodriguez's best win? And then in that win, how did he look? Like, Rodriguez's best win is Korean Zombie, maybe, I would say. Would it be Korean Zombie? And that was or Brian Ortega, right? But Brian Ortega is a random meme win. And Korean Zombie, it was also a random meme win. He was losing that fight, and then he does Scorpion Elbow. Amazing knockout, one of the best knockouts in history. But, yeah, I don't know, man. Yair Rodriguez is a bit of a weird fighter. And then Josh Emmett, I think he hits hard, but he's meat and potatoes, and he's beat a lot of old guys. A few decent guys like that, Danny Gay and Calvin Kattar, but they give him the fight he wants, just boxing in the middle. That's exactly what he wants. Yair's going to be on the outside here, dancing, doing his ballet, doing his taekwondo like he always does. I think he probably wins the fight, Yair, if I was to pick. But I do think the fight ends inside the distance, just in general. I like the under 4.5 rounds. The money's badly coming on it now, but I bet it at plus 150. So then what we do is we look how the fight's going to end, right? So I think it's going to end inside the distance. And then I'm just going to pick someone to end inside the distance. Well, it just so happens that Rodriguez TKO is plus 250, but Emmett TKO is plus 420. And I'm kind of hovering. Fight ends TKO. Fight ends by KO. What's that? I don't think they're going to give me a Lambo on that narco.
No, that's low. I looked at it before. It was like plus 130. It's very
low. Jesus Christ. Yeah, so we won't be going for that one. I'll go with Rodriguez KO, man. You can get a plus 300. I do think that Rodriguez wins, and I do think the fight ends inside the distance. So I think Rodriguez gets a KO. Flying knee, you know, I don't think he's this mad KO artist, I will say that, but it's 25 minutes. He's going to be throwing lots of volume. Emmett has this injury that he's coming into this fight with. You know, there's a massive rumor going around right now that he has an injury. So we know what happens if you got a bad injury. You're probably going to get stopped in that fight. You know, Derek Minner, TJ Dillashaw, whatever it is. So that's another reason why Yair might win by KO. They always call it a KO if a fighter just gets hit once and then drops from injury. That goes down as a KO, not a submission, right? So yeah, I think Yair Rodriguez has a decent chance to get a finish in this fight. So I'll take KO at plus 300.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the Rodriguez side. I can't, all these, you know, injury stuff that's going around, I think there is some merit to it. I don't have any inside info or anything, but Yair Rodriguez is like, he's not, I don't think he has power in his hands or anything like that, but he has flashy KO power. He has crazy kicks, spinning stuff, you know, stuff like that, you know, flying knee, like you mentioned. He's going to be the much longer fighter here against Josh Emmett. You know, I think he can catch him with something. And obviously I don't know what round it's going to be, but the one thing that I don't think it's going to be very, very early, but 2, 3, 4 KO for Yair is plus 550. I don't know if that's worth. I'm trying to get a little greedy instead of just the KO. Yeah. You're probably better off just going with KO at plus 300, but I'm gonna get a little greedy here and go with 2, 3, 4 Rodriguez KO at plus 550. Before we move on to our main event, though, I do want to shout out all 61 of you in here. Thank you very, very much to each and every one of you. I really appreciate it. Hit that like and subscribe to the channel. And also, I do want to give a shout out to the guys that sponsor me, OddsShopper, Stochastic, great group of guys. I work over there for them. I do a best bets video for the OddsShopper channel, and I'm also in their Discord. They have a bunch of like really, really sharp bettors in there. The DFS guys, you know, these guys have all the stats, all the things that you need to bet all these other markets like NBA, NFL. I suck at that stuff. I'm not good at any of that stuff. All I do is just go in there and basically tell these guys, and I've been winning. I mean, they're a bunch of like analytic guys that have all the freaking stats. So, yeah, I mean, that Discord, if you want, it's down below in the link. If you want to hit it, it's half off for the first week. I mean, bunch of great guys in there, and then I'm always in there with these guys. So with that being said, we will move on to the main event of the night. It is in the lightweight division. It is the 23-1 Islam Makhachev versus the 25-1 Alexander Volkanovski. And since you are my guest today, I will kick this one off to you. You can go ahead. I know this is an unbelievable fight and a really great fight to break down. Go ahead, James.
All right. So for those of you who do not know, I've been a little bit vocal on this fight this week. And let me just let this play, boys, because... Can you hear that?
No.
You can't hear that shit?
No. No.
Oh, damn, boys. I'm playing Land Down Under right now by Men at Work.
I can't hear it. I love that song.
Man. But for those of you who do not know, that is the Alexander the Great's walkout song. Great song. Love that song anyway. I'm on the Volkanovski side here, man. I think he has a good chance to do it. Volkanovski is one of the best fighters we've ever seen in the cage, in my opinion. You know, he has one of the highest fight IQs we've ever seen in the cage. I think he has probably one of the best footwork we've ever seen in the cage. And on top of that, one of the best game plans we've ever seen in the cage. There's a lot to like about Alexander Volkanovski, right? Look, Narco, you know how it is. This is a numbers game, right? We don't always bet who we think going to win. I mean, you do it every week. You're always betting plus 400, 500s I see on the regional scene. I would hazard to guess that over 50% of these fighters you bet on that are better than plus 200, you don't think they're going to win, but you just know that the odds are off, right? And I feel like plus 300 is just a tad bit disrespectful on my boy Volk. Obviously, Makhachev has the massive size advantage here. He has the massive grappling advantage. Gun to my head, I will say Makhachev's able to get him down. I'm not going to go in a crazy technical breakdown of this fight. I've broke this fight down 5, 6, 7 times this week. I've got a 25-minute breakdown on my YouTube channel if you want. But I think odds-wise, I think Volk is the side here. Yeah, man. I think Volk's the side. I think Volk money line's a decent bet. I expected to lose, but I also expected Jalen Bates plus 300 to lose last week. So it is what it is. I also kind of expect. Well, I didn't really. I told you to jump on this. I think you did. Bruno Ferreira against Gregory Rodriguez plus 250. I was going to say I expected that to lose, but I actually didn't. But, I bet these plus 300s I expect to lose all the time. I don't give a shit. Volkanovski's one of the greatest fighters we've ever seen. If anybody can defend the takedowns and, make it an attritional fight, Volkanovski can do it. Makhachev's not as relentless as Khabib is going for takedowns. He's not going to shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot. If Volkanovski's footwork's throwing him off, if he can pump one to the cage and push Mac off a couple of times, he will stand for periods in this fight. Mac will stand for a round. Mac will stand for 2 whole rounds and not even shoot a takedown. He'll do that. Don't forget, he did that against multiple fighters. He did that against Davi Ramos. He didn't shoot one takedown. I know the jiu-jitsu, but he did that against Moises. I know the jiu-jitsu, but, he will stand on the feet. Another thing, he is saying that he wants to knock out Volkanovski here. He says that he's a massive thing that he wants to knock out Volkanovski. And I know you listen to interviews a little bit more than me, right? For Dana White's Contender Series and stuff. I don't take him into my analytics as much as you do, but he's been saying all week that he wants to stand up with Volk because he wants to become pound for pound. He knows that if he beats Volk standing, he's definitely pound for pound. He doesn't want to just wrestle him. I mean, massive, massive, massive comments about constantly not wrestling. I don't expect him to do that, but maybe he stands on the feet a little bit longer than he should because of that. I do think that's in play. So whatever, man. Volk money line. Let everybody say that it's a terrible bet. Is what it is. I don't give a shit, bro. I'm riding with my man Volk here. Plus 300 is a Lambo in and of itself. If you want to bump it up a little bit, Volk by KO or decision. I don't know what one it's going to be. Is like 400, 500. So we're going with that one this week, man. My boy Alexander the Great.
Yeah, I mean, who could, can they actually argue with you and say, oh, that's a terrible bet pre-fight? You're talking about one of the best fighters in the world, pound for pound, like Volkanovski. Like his striking, his in and out striking, his distance management, his fight IQ, unbelievable. Like all of those things are crazy. His recovery from every fighter gets hurt. Every fighter gets knocked out even in their careers. Not every fighter, but 99.9% of their fighters have faced adversity, right? And you like to see that. Here's the thing with fighters, in my opinion. If you have a fighter that never faces adversity and then faces adversity, they might react like shit to it. They might fold like a lawn chair, right?
Who, like Islam Makhachev when he got knocked out by Adriano Martins.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, if you haven't faced adversity and now you face adversity, you could crumble, right?
Yeah.
Has Alexander Volkanovski faced adversity? Yes, a bunch of times. And the way he recovers, the way he got out of that choke against Ortega, that every jiu-jitsu guy is saying, like, how it's almost impossible to not get choked out there.
Yeah.
And he was kicking and kicking until he got out of that. The guy is just mentally very, very strong. You have to be very strong mentally. Not only physically, you have to be strong mentally not to tap out there or not to get, go to sleep. Because it's a lot of mental stuff going on in there when you're getting choked out and you're thinking you're going to go to sleep right now, So the guy has unbelievable recoverability when he gets hurt, when he's put in bad spots. And, the guy's just a great fighter and his striking is unbelievable. The only issue I have here is he's facing a guy that to me is going to be the bigger guy in the cage by a significant margin, especially when it comes to fight time, right? Not on the scales. Like we saw Makhachev, he needed the curtain today to make weight. and he made weight 156. But this guy's a pretty big guy. I think come fight time, he's probably near 180. I would take a guess. And I think Volkanovski's probably more in like the 65 range, if I took a guess. So there's probably going to be like a 15-pound advantage. And the problem is Makhachev is such a good wrestler, such a good top game, that with a good top game like that, if he does take you down and he has a 15-pound advantage on you, it's going to be almost impossible to get back up. It's going to be so hard for Volk to get back up. And Makhachev is very, very smooth on the ground. I mean, he's submitting black belts. It doesn't matter what you are on the ground against him. Like, he's so good. His top time is so good. His his control is so good. But Volk is very hard to sub. Like, this guy, we saw it. Like, it's very, very hard guy to submit. So I was going back and forth. What am I going to do with this fight? And the thing that I came up with is Makhachev by KO. And the way I see it is, most likely, moving to full mount, ground and pound, maybe Volk giving up his back and him flattening him out and just pounding him out, because Volk is just not going to give him his neck. One of those, where I don't think on the feet he's just going to knock out Volkanovski. I don't see it. And if he does want to play on the feet, I think he gets pieced up, to be honest. Like, the calf kicks, you name it. Like, you got to remember, Volkanovski is not a guy that just hits you up here. He's hitting you from up here all the way down to your calf. He's hitting you everywhere. His combinations are top to bottom. He works everywhere. I mean, the way he moves, his footwork, like you mentioned, is unbelievable. It's not good for Makhachev to be standing with this guy. I don't care. He dropped, Oliveira. Oliveira's kind of sloppy and wild on the feet. I don't care what anyone says. And he gets dropped by almost everybody, right? This guy he just gets dropped. You can't compare Oliveira's striking to Volkanovski's technically. It's not even close. So, yeah, I mean, I just got to give out the Makhachev KO. It's plus 500. I think he wins because he's the much bigger guy here. Maybe Volkanovski fights off a takedown or two. I don't think he's going to keep fighting the takedowns off. I think eventually he gets grounded, and that's the issue for Volkanovski. I think he's the smaller guy in the ring and by a pretty big margin. And so I'm going to go with Makhachev KO plus 500, but I can't fault you if you're going to bet Volkanovski here at plus 310. Like, great fighter to be getting plus 310 on.
Plus 310 on Alexander Volkanovski is a great bet. Listen, I want to ask you two questions, right? And this is for you and for everybody in the chat. Do we know how Islam Makhachev is going to react to getting cracked on the chin? Do we know that?
No, that's what I'm saying. Adversity. Adrian Martinez just put his lights out, right? It wasn't exactly. To me. That's not even adversity, honestly, Lucrative, because one punch knockout, you're already put out. What adversity is there? You're out. You're out cold. It's not like you're fighting for your life.
So how did he react to that shot? Badly, right?
He was out.
He got knocked out. And has he ever been hit clean other than that? I can't really remember a time.
I don't. Not that I can recall that anybody landed like big on him. No.
Do you remember when Davi Ramos dropped him to a knee with a jab and he popped straight back up? That happened. You can go and watch that.
I don't remember that one, but
he's stepping in. Davi Ramos dropped him with a jab, right? So I haven't seen Islam hit clean because he's a good striker. He stays on the outside. I've seen him hit clean 2 times. I've seen him hit clean by Davi Ramos, drop to a knee. I've seen him hit clean by Adriano Martins, drop to his back, KO. Now, the second part of my question, do you think Volk's going to hit him clean in this fight?
That's the issue. If he fucks around on the feet, like you said, and he said, oh, he's going to stand, yes. Yes, he is. But if he decides to grapple, which I think is smart right away, I think, to be honest, I think he grounds Volk pretty quick.
You think he's just going to go out there, not take any damage, take him
down?
No.
The thing is, when you say clean, I'm thinking like a really big shot, right? It can't be a calf kick and that's clean, right?
Just
a big shot.
touched up to the face. Just take punishment. He hasn't taken punishment. Do you think he's going to take more punishment in this fight than he has in any other fight? Because he's never taken punishment. Or do you think it's going to be like every other fight where he doesn't take punishment?
No. There's going to be, small moments where Volk might have opportunity to land. I don't think it's just going to be, off the jump, a takedown, and he's just going to smash him. No. Volk is going to have
it's going to be like that. I think Volk's going to hit him the most that he's ever been hit. I think Volk's going to give him the most trouble he's ever had. And I don't know how he's going to react to that, man. Volk's the best fighter on the planet. Plus 310 is ridiculous. I'm backing Volk in this spot. Whatever. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I love Volkanovski, and I've backed him a bunch, and I've won a bunch of money on him. It's just one of those fights, man. Like when I go over tape and it's hard. It's hard for me to look away from the size and weight disadvantage he's going to be at here, and strength. To be honest, I think he's going to be at a severe strength disadvantage as well. Like I know Volk is built like a brick tank. I know all that, but man, this Makhachev is, when he gets a hold of you, man, he's very, very freaking strong. Like you could see it. Like it's all over tape. Like he's very, very strong. And he's going up against bigger guys too, like at 55. So
yeah,
I don't know. We should see. It's going to be an awesome fight, man. Awesome fight. I can't wait. But I do want to give out our Lambo parlays before we move on. I can start it off. My Lambo parlay is going to be Clayton inside the distance, Mullarkey inside the distance, Lookboonmee KO, and Tafa KO. It's 63-1. Yeah, I mean, basically all inside the distance props there. So, James, what do you got for us? Are you cooking?
I'm just trying to. No, someone's mowing their lawn outside, man. I don't know if you can hear that. I'm just trying to. You can't hear that? No. Jesus, that's so loud here. All right, that's what. All right, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with inside the distance props as well, because I think this is definitely gonna be a card where we see a lot of finishes.
Let's go.
So I'm gonna take. I'm just wrecking out right now, right? So Jack Jenkins inside the distance. We'll take that line there. We're gonna parlay that up with Jamie Mullarkey inside the distance. We'll take that line there. And one more. We will go, because I need to make it a Lambo parlay, right?
Yeah.
We will take that with Alexander Volkanovski inside the distance plus 4,000. That's the Lambo right there, man.
Wow. Alexander
Volkanovski, in my
Volkanovski
opinion,
inside the distance is plus 700. Holy moly. Yeah.
Oh, I actually took Volk KO. My apologies. 800. Let's make it better. He ain't subbing Islam.
No. Yeah, I don't think he's going to sub Islam. Yeah.
We want the juice. The most juice we can get.
Actually, there's 850 out there. So there you go. There's 850 sitting out there. So, yeah.
Bang.
62 of you still in here. Thank you very, very much. But I do want to specifically thank James for coming on late notice. Tim had to do something last second. So I hit up my boy James. I'm like, James, please, if you can, make the Lambo plays. I would greatly appreciate it because Tim can't make it. And he's like, yeah, sure. What time? And boom, he was on here. So Thank you very, very much, James. I really appreciate it. One more thing. I did leave James's links down below. His Twitter's there, his MMA betting page is there, his website. So you can click on those links. Great capper, awesome guy. And also, James, the floor is yours. Let us know what you have going on. Anything else you want to shout out?
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for having me on. Always got time to do a show with you. It's a little bit awkward for me because my shows are, your evening time. America's evening time is my daytime. So it's kind of annoying because it'll break up my day. I got to do shows at 1 p.m., 3 p.m. I like doing things in the day and then relaxing at night. But this was a good time, actually. It's 5:30 p.m. here, so I think our time difference is not as bad. But yeah, man, I had good fun doing this. Always have good fun doing this. It's always fun to see how they perform on fight night because we're saying some outlandish outlandish prices here, you know, plus 1,000, plus 1,600. So when they come in, it feels a lot better than just hitting a minus 150, you know. So hopefully we can cash this weekend. Everybody just go follow me wherever I am, you know, Lucrative MMA on Instagram and Twitter. This is a massive weekend. As I said, I'm risking the third most units I've ever risked on any event. So hopefully it pays off. Last 3 times I've done this, I've cashed massively. So when I put more money on, usually I win more. So hopefully it happens here. But yeah, man, just follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I actually want to get my YouTube up to 2,000 subs. I think I'm like 100 away or something. So hopefully we can do that. If you're on YouTube now, follow me. I give out lots of free stuff there. But thanks for having me on, Mike, man. Hopefully we can do this again soon. And I'm sorry I wasn't able to do a split prop in the place of Tim. I kind of fucked up there. I really should be on my split decisions, but I guess there's only one Tim Troiano, you know, so I'll leave that to Tim. But thanks for having me on.
I gave one split. Wait, did I? Yeah, I gave one split. You did. Kulaba Baghdasaryan. There you go. That's in honor of Tim. But yeah, man, thank you very much, guys. Go follow him. Go subscribe to his YouTube channel. Always giving out great content, betting content, you name it. I mean, all types of even life content is in there. So yeah, James, thank you very, very much. And thank you to all my viewers, each and every one of you, 58 of you still in here. You guys are the real GOATs for being here with us, because without you guys, all these shows would not be here. So thank you very, very much to everybody. And guys, one last thing, as I always say, let's cash those